What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. It is Friday once again, and running through the month of July, that can only mean one thing. It is time for another episode of Four-saken Fridays. I have four albums here that have come out in 2022 that I feel like have kind of slid under most people's radars. I want to share these with you guys. I will link them up in the description, and hopefully, you will appreciate these releases as much as I do. I definitely feel like they warrant some attention and are worthy of being checked out. I'm just going to jump right into this. First up, we have a one man project out of Italy. This band is kind of dubbed as ambient black metal. It doesn't really do it justice. We'll get into that in just a moment. This is Lord Agheros with his newest release entitled Koinè. Um, this was released back in February through My Kingdom Music. Lord Agheros is a project that I've been following for a little over a decade now. Back in 2010, he released an album called Of Beauty and Sadness. That one kind of wrote me in, and it's a band that I've followed ever since. Saying that this band is ambient black metal works, but it also does this project a disservice, especially on this album. There are atmospherics in this, definitely. There are classical, almost neoclassical sounding passages and passages of folk music in this as well. The very first track, which is actually one of the longest tracks on the album, entitled "The Prophecy," doesn't have any metal in it at all. It is steeped in folk music. Reminds me of like Enya-esque type folk music. It's a very enjoyable track, but it is also followed probably by the most ferocious track on the album, entitled "The Walls of Nowhere." That one is just fast-paced black metal brutality, and I absolutely love it. Another track on this that really stands out to me is track number 4, entitled "So." I love that release as well. That's another kind of ferocious black metal type track. Of Beauty and Sadness, even though it's been out for about 12 years now, has been like the front runner in the Lord Agheros discography as far as my favorite releases. I believe there are 5 full lengths in the discography now. This one has potential to take that place and be kind of awarded that number one spot for me personally in the entire discography of the project. It feels like that this album is leaning a bit more into the heavier side of things, a bit more into the extreme side of things, and I definitely appreciate the ferociousness that this album offers in small doses. It definitely works with the atmospheres. It pulls you in. It keeps you interested just because you don't know where the project is going to take the song next. Each track is allowed to explore itself and play itself out, and it's just a very intelligent release. And I absolutely love this. If you've never checked out Lord Agheros, definitely. It would probably be a good point just to start on this album and work your way back through the discography because this album is absolutely phenomenal. So a killer release here from Lord Agheros. If you're into black metal, folky, I don't want to say it's just folky black metal or atmospheric black metal. It has a very unique and original sound to this. So if it's something that you think might pique your interest, definitely get down there in the description, check the link out, and give this a listen. The fact that it is a one man project, yes, he hires in guest musicians and that type of vocalists. But as far as the compositions of the album and everything is concerned, in the majority of the musicianship, it is all just done by one particular person. So killer release there from Lord Agheros. Changing gears completely, we have some death doom, kind of suffocating death doom out of Phoenix, Arizona. This is the sophomore release from the band Thorn. This is another one man project. This one is entitled Yawning Depths. It was released on Chaos Records back in February, so a couple of February releases here to kind of spark this video off. I was originally introduced to Thorn last year. They released a full length entitled Crawling Worship through Life After Death recordings. If you follow this channel at all, you know that I absolutely love the Life After Death label slash distro. I order from Life After Death all the time, and that's how I was introduced to the band Thorn. I enjoyed Crawling Worship, and this is no different. I enjoy um, the Yawning Depths maybe a bit more. The kind of mix and production on this is kind of a polarizing issue for people. There are some of us that absolutely love it, and then there's some that don't like the murkiness that this album kind of possesses. The fact that this guy is from Phoenix, I think he's able to use that murkiness to um, kind of tie in almost this heat and fuzziness, and it just makes it feels like a suffocatingly heavy and and hot album, if that makes like sulfuric type feel to this, very almost cavernous at times. It is a full length, but it only clocks in at 24 minutes, so the brevity on this album I think does it an absolute plus as well. Does not overstay its welcome. It's 8 tracks that are able to get themselves into that time frame, which kind of lends myself to thinking and feeling like that this project has introduced a tiny bit of grind into their Death Doom style on this as well. Very interesting stuff. The track number 3, entitled Cavernous Shrines, that one almost has a slam feel going on. And then it's followed up by track number 4, Noxious Existence, that it just feels so suffocatingly heavy, but it's got these like methodical plotting riffs in that song as well. Very good stuff there. Those would probably be the 2 tracks if you just wanted to hear something to get a feeling on this. I would go with either Cavernous Shrines or Noxious Existence. Between those 2 tracks, you kind of get a feel of the styles and the shift changes that you will get on this album throughout. As I said, the production on this, the mixing, it is very murky, and it is kind of a polarizing point. Some people are not going to like that, but I think it definitely gives a it kind of sets this project apart from some of its other contemporaries. It gives a sound that lends itself to Thorn, and you know that you're listening to a Thorn release just from that murky type production. I was speaking of Life After Death because that was actually how I had found the band Thorn to begin with. We have a Life After Death original release. We have Rgrss. This is Canadian death grind with their debut full length entitled A World of Concern. I have heard almost no one talk about this release, and it is absolutely phenomenal. The band is death grind, yes, but they also kind of uh, tote the line into this like progressive death metal style at times. There's hints of sludge and crust infused with death metal and grindcore on this, and it's so interesting. I've listened to this album countless times while I've been at work. I play it quite often while I'm unloading trucks and that type of deal, and it never gets old to me. The album is a little over 30 minutes, just a hair over, probably about 33, 34 minutes in runtime. But I just find myself enjoying this more and more with every single listen. The first, I guess, 3/4 of the album, I would say, definitely steep themselves in that death grind feel. It's towards the end of the album that you get a little bit more of that progressive death metal kind of vibe going on, especially tracks 7 and 8, um, Sickening Illusion and Fear of Silence. And while those are a bit more experimental, they almost feel a bit more experimental for this particular project. But I really like it. I'm often talking about how I like when a track is able. It feels like it's deliberately able to play itself out and go from point to start to finish, and you just feel like the progression of the song going throughout. On those 2 tracks, I get that, and I really enjoy that. I love the crusty elements that are kind of introduced in those tracks as well. Killer stuff here from Rgrss. If you have not checked them out, which I don't think a lot of people have, I highly urge that you do that because I absolutely love this project, and I'm looking forward. I cannot wait to see where they go moving forward from this particular release. On the last album that I'm going to show, this is a little bit different than some of the stuff that I tend to show on the channel. I don't show a ton of deathcore. I figured I would break out the Of Sulfur shirt for this video just because I was showing a deathcore release. This is kind of a symphonic blackened deathcore. Um, band, and it's not Lorna Shore. Don't worry. I don't want to say never because I don't like saying I will never show something on the channel, but I don't enjoy Lorna Shore. I know some people do, and I mean if that's your cup of tea, that's fine. But it's just a band that has never done it for me. But this particular style of deathcore, this black and deathcore, this particular style of music, it always people want to lend themselves to either talking about mental cruelty or Lorna Shore. I'm not a fan of either one of those bands, but I am a fan of this band. We have Worm Shepherd with Ritual Hymns. As I was saying, this Massachusetts quintet has a style of symphonic black and deathcore that is growing kind of popular in within the last, I'd say, a couple of years. Lorna Shore definitely has spearheaded that type of popularity, but I feel like Worm Shepherd has a step above bands like Mental Cruelty and Lorna Shore just because of the quality of the musicianship that you get on this. They perfectly craft their atmospheres and even the symphonics in with the musicianship being the forefront of the release. If that, I guess that's the way the wording I'm trying to get on that. The musicianship on this is just top notch. These guys are great at what they do. I know it does have breakdowns. I know some of you aren't fans with the breakdowns in this style of music, but they seem crafted perfectly into the album. I don't feel like sometimes on deathcore, I feel like the breakdowns can actually take away, and it does a disservice to the release as a whole. I think it works well with the atmospheres that Worm Shepherd is able to craft. This album is 52 minutes. Had it without the breakdowns, you would probably coming in at 40 something minutes. But I dig it. I really do enjoy this. I hardly ever have any type of deathcore on an end of the year list, and if I'm ever going to have one on there, at the end of the year, this is going to be one of those albums that could potentially make it on there. I do find it that good. This one is another one that came out back in January. So these all the albums that I've shown today were either January or February releases. A lot of early year stuff here going on, but Unique Leader Records found a real gem here with Worm Shepherd. I feel like that they've been kind of criminally overlooked just because everyone is on the Lorna Shore hype train or the mental cruelty hype train. I mean, not taking anything away from those two bands. They're obviously doing something right because of the popularity that they've kind of gathered here, especially this year and last year, within the last couple of years. Just the popularity that those two bands have able to garner and just the attention that they've been getting. They're obviously doing something right. Just because I'm not a big fan of it doesn't mean that it probably shines more on a problem with me than anything else. But I just feel like Worm Shepherd has been criminally overlooked because of that, and that's a real shame because they're putting out some just quality material. Definitely check this one out. If you're into Lorna Shore and you're into mental cruelty, definitely check out Worm Shepherd, although you probably already have. But if you want to try something new and kind of expand your horizons a little bit, this is definitely a release to do that with. That's all I've got for this particular video. As always, well, not as always, but as of late, the new collection CD collection video will be up on Sunday. I'm going to keep those going as best I can while I'm packing and getting everything ready. That's all I've got for today. Stay classy, stay metal, and I will see you guys very soon. I promise.